Hello, hello, welcome again to my channel Creative Minds with Emily Eva Makes. My name's Emily. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you yet again to all of you who've sent messages or told me your stories. I've had a lot of love on this channel and it makes me feel really good, and I'm really glad that I've been doing this, so thank you. And it's nice to know that I've helped some of you sometimes, so again, thanks for that. I've also had some comments with ideas of different creative things that I could try, some of which I'd never heard of before. A couple of them though were to do with they were types of embroidery, which I have done some embroidery. I've done some cross stitch and I've done some tapestry, a tiny bit of other kind of embroidery, but I've got to admit I do hate sewing. I don't know if it's because of the little tiny needle and having to thread the needle all the time or what, but I hate sewing. At least with embroidery and with tapestry and cross stitch, it doesn't annoy the perfectionist side of me, because one of the things I hate about sewing is that I can't get the stitches the right size and it never looks even. Whereas if you're doing something like cross stitch, you've got a guide there. It's going to look the way it should look. It's going to look nice and neat, so that's fine. Maybe I would like some of these other kinds of embroidery and other techniques. I don't know, but if it involves using a tiny needle, it does tend to scare me a little bit. But keep the ideas coming anyway. It's still good to learn about all these different things, and it's good to hear that you guys have got all these different things to do as well. And I heard there was a comment just yesterday about how knitting in particular has really helped this woman in all sorts of ways, in being able to relax, being able to focus on something different, having something to do with their hands, having more of a social life and reasons for doing things, and that's the whole point of these creative things, is to make you feel better and give you something positive to do. So after all that, let's get into this week's podcast. I don't really have a specific thing, like this week I'm going to show you all of my notebooks like I did the other week, or this week I'm going to show you all of these things. Today is a bit of a mishmash of different things, and that is mostly because the last couple of weeks, the last 3 weeks or so, I've kind of just lost motivation, and I don't know really why. I don't know where it came from. I don't know what's going on, but for a few weeks there, I just totally lost motivation. I didn't want to do any knitting. I didn't want to do anything. I think it started just because, well, not necessarily that I had too many things on the go. I didn't have that many things on the go, but I kind of got bored of each project that I had. I started redoing the Mariquilla top by Antonio of Beagle Knits, because I had done it before and messed it up. I don't know what I did with it. So I undid the whole thing and started redoing it. So here it is, done. It just needs blocking, so it looks a bit strange at the moment. So this comes up at the front there, halter neck style. And then it comes down to the bottom with garter stitch at the bottom. And I did most of this, and then I had just one of the underarms, the edging to do, one left, and all the ends to weave in. And I just got bored. I went, no, don't want to, can't be bothered. And it sat there for like 2 weeks. I finally picked it up the other day and finished it off and wove in the ends. And now it's been sitting again because it needs blocking, and I can't be bothered to block it either. Yeah. But, it's done. It will be blocked at some point. For anyone who's interested, I did this using Malabrigo fuchsia in the silk packer, which is a lace weight yarn, held double. I think the pattern was actually written for a lace weight yarn held double, but not Malabrigo. And I don't know what needle size, maybe a 4. I don't know. 4mm. I don't use US sizes. So that was one thing. I got very bored with it. Couldn't be bothered to finish it off. Then in Semana Santa, the Easter break that we had, I went to stay with my grandparents in Malaga for a couple of days, and I decided to I found a new pattern that I wanted to do. If you remember, a little while ago I was saying that I wanted to do a kind of elegant t-shirt top thing that I could maybe wear on nights out over the summer, so sleeveless, and to possibly do with that sparkle yarn from Irish Fairy Tale Yarns. So I finally found a pattern that I loved for that. I took that with me to Malaga and took the sparkle yarn with me, and I had in my head the idea that I could do the front in maybe the purple and the back in the kind of dark blue black, because I only had one skein of each. And I thought, if I can do the front in one colour and the back in the other colour, then I can finish it with just these two skeins and I won't have to buy any more. Totally failed to look at the pattern and realise that it's not worked in pieces, it's worked in the round. Because it looked like it was worked in pieces, but it's only worked in pieces at the top. So that didn't really work. But anyway, I decided to do it anyway, and I'll just have to buy more yarn. I have actually bought it, I'm just waiting for it to arrive. Because this top is absolutely gorgeous. It's called the Contractorium top, and you can see on the front, it's just plain stockinette. But then on the back, all sorts of different lace stitches. Beautiful. We've got little eyelets at the top, and then some drop stitch lace, some mesh, more drop stitch, different kind of mesh lace underneath, and it just keeps going, changing lace patterns. And you can do it in any order. It does suggest a particular order in the pattern, but you can chop and change. And on this one I did chop and change a little bit and switch it up, because I really like the drop stitch, so I put a bit more drop stitch lace in there. So I did most of this in the 2 days at Malaga at my grandma's house. I got to maybe here in 2 days, and I was quite impressed. And then when I got home, I got to the end of this game, like the next day perhaps, and then it was like, okay, now what? I can't finish that top. I'm going to have to buy more yarn. I'm going to have to wait a while for it to arrive. So now I need something else to do. And that just demotivated me again, because I didn't know what else to do. And I wasn't in a period where I had loads of different ideas coming to me. Sometimes I want to knit all of the different things. I have a million different ideas. And other times just nothing is really calling my attention. So it was one of those moments. I just thought, I don't really know what to do. But anyway, so that's the Contractorium top, which is now on hold. It's by Apricate Designs. Beautiful little top. But yeah, I got not bored of it, but I had to put it down because I have to wait for the rest of the yarn, and then I didn't know what else to do with myself. And when I was doing that at my grandma's house in Malaga, my aunt was there and she was watching me and she was going, that's amazing, that's beautiful, I want one, can I have one? And I thought, well, maybe. I do have the dark blue as well, so, but I'm gonna have to buy more yarn whatever I do. But I kind of wanted the dark blue for myself as well. So we came to a deal whereby she's buying the yarn and she's going to get me another skein of the purple so I can finish that one, and then 3 skeins of the Nightfall, the dark blue and black, so that I can do a top for her, but also I've got enough to do one of those for me. Don't know if I will want to do 3 of the same pattern. Maybe the other one for me will be a different pattern. Perhaps the Tipi Tee by Carmen Garcia de Mora. That one looks quite pretty as well, so I don't know. But anyway, I kind of ran out of ideas for a little bit. I didn't want to start hers straight away because I was annoyed with the fact I couldn't finish mine. I didn't want to finish the underarm on the Mariquilla top. I didn't want to find something new. Didn't have any inspiration for anything else that was on the needles. And the temperature's starting to change, as I said last time. It's getting warmer and warmer, so I didn't really necessarily want lots of wool. Because a lot of the things that I want to make are things like sweaters, and it's not the right time of year to be making sweaters, so I didn't really want to look at more summer tops or anything like that. I didn't want to go back to the gloves that I still haven't finished. So I just kind of lost motivation completely. And instead of doing any of that, I just kind of ignored all of my knitting for a while, and I got stuck in doing puzzles. I was doing silly puzzles on my phone. There's a game that's like smashing all the bricks, and then there's a couple of card games, solitaire games, and then I got out one of my Japanese picture puzzle books that I've had for ages, and I very rarely do. They're called Hanji, and they look like this. So it's not like Sudoku exactly, but it's a similar idea. You have to make sure that everything fits. Hold on, let me show one more. I can actually show it nicely and you can maybe see what it is. Oh, that's cool. Young or old? Some of you might recognise this illusion picture. From one side you can see it as the young woman, and from another you can see it as an old woman. It's quite a cool little illusion. Anyway, so you have all these numbers at the top and at the side, and they tell you how many blocks of colour you have in that line that have to have at least one space between them. So it can get quite intense trying to follow it all and get it all correct. And there are several in here where I've just kind of given up halfway through because I can't work out what's going on. But yeah, I got quite into that, so I was a bit addicted to that for a while. I spent about a week just doing puzzles, and I didn't touch any knitting or anything. Oh, and then I tried to do some crochet instead because my grandma gave me a huge bag of Aran wool that she had from a jumper. She was asked to finish a jumper for a friend ages and ages and ages ago, years ago. And she couldn't do it. There was something wrong with the pattern and she couldn't work out what was going on and she couldn't fix it. And it actually stopped her knitting completely for several years because she's a very monogamous knitter and she has to finish one project before she can start on another. And because she couldn't do that, she couldn't do anything else. So she just abandoned all of her knitting for ages. And eventually she fessed up to the woman and said, look, I can't do it. I don't know what's going on with it. What do you want me to do? And the woman said, you know what, don't worry about it. I'm not going to knit anymore because I think she'd developed arthritis or something. She wasn't able to knit anymore. She said, I'm not going to finish it off myself. I'm not going to knit anymore. I'm not really bothered about it. You can just keep it, do what you want with it. Keep the wool, undo it, whatever. And my grandma was just so fed up with the sight of this thing. She didn't even want to undo it and keep the wool for anything else. She just said, nope, take it away. You have it. Take it. So I came home with this huge bag, huge Mercadona bag, full of this Aran wool. Absolutely full. And in fact, with the jumper in there as well. So I had to take it all apart, which was quite nice. Quite relaxing just sitting and winding wool for a while. I quite enjoyed that. So I took it all apart and then I was sat there thinking, what am I going to do with all of this? I don't want to do an Aran jumper. I don't know what I want. And then I thought about that cardigan that I showed you last time, the purple one. That's quite nice for this kind of spring weather because it's so holey and it's not too warm. And I thought maybe, just maybe, that would be a nice thing to do with it. So I sat and started crocheting instead. And I wasn't really all that motivated, but it did keep me going because it's dead easy and so repetitive because you just go up and down in the same stitch pattern. So that kept me going for ages, well over a week. And I did the whole thing, the whole front pieces and back pieces. And I even sewed up the shoulders. However, when I was doing the back, it says to go up to something like 80 rows, I think. And from the start of the front piece, counting all the way around up to here, you should have 83 rows, I think. And I was going along and I was thinking 83 is far too much. I got to about 50 and looked at what another 30 would add to it and just thought, that's ridiculous. It's going to be huge. It's going to be really baggy. And I hate having jumpers and things that have got too much fabric at the back. So I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. And I adjusted it and did it much smaller. I think I still went to 63 or something, but there's like 20 rows difference. And then when I sewed up the shoulders, I realised why it's so big on the back, because the front pieces are supposed to be sewn for the pattern to match up on either side. And if I were to sew them all the way, they overlap. That's why the back was so long, because you need it to be that long so that there's room for your neck once you've sewn the shoulders up. So I sewed them up anyway, which is leaving a little gap, thinking that might be okay, but it's really, really not. It's ridiculous. So I'm going to have to undo it. If I try and put this on now, it ends up feeling really tight. And it's not actually that tight across the back. It's because of this neck thing here, it kind of pulls it. So obviously that doesn't really work. So I'm going to have to undo it all and undo the whole of that second front to where the sleeve is, where the armhole is, and then do it again to the right size, and then maybe it'll be all right. But of course, that was another thing where as soon as I hit that block in the road, I just lost motivation and just went, no. It was a nice, easy, repetitive thing to be doing while I wasn't really that inspired. But if I have to go and fix things and redo it, no, all the motivation is gone. So at some point, hopefully, I'll come back to that, but it's not happening for now. So yeah, then, I don't know, what else was I doing? I kept trying to find other things to do. I started looking through some of my books for different creative things, and I picked up this one. I don't know if I've shown you this one before. Reader's Digest Complete Guide to Needlework. It's got all sorts of different things in here. I picked this up at a charity shop for nothing. It's a really good book. And in here, I found that they have a section on bobbin lace. Now, I don't know if I'm ever going to actually sit and do this, bobbin lace, but it was really nice to look at it and read about it, because my nan always used to do these. Not the grandma who lives in Malaga, my nan who was in the UK and died a few years ago. So it reminded me of her, and I wanted to, I don't know, I feel bad. I don't know how I feel. It's sad that she never taught me how to do it, because she was doing it all the time and she made such beautiful things. Where is it? Not embroidery. I can't find it now. There it is. Okay, so bobbin lace. This is what my nan used to do all the time, and she would make amazing things. You have all these millions of little bobbins and a million different pins, because every time you twist two strands together, you have to pin it in place or something. It looked super, super complicated, but really interesting, and it is beautiful. It really does make some beautiful designs. So I feel a bit sad that my nan never, well, not that she never taught me, I never asked her to teach me either. You know, it's my own fault. But I never got around to learning about it. So I thought, well, maybe I could learn through this book. And it does have absolutely everything you need in here. It tells you all the materials you need. It tells you how to set up. It tells you how to follow the pattern. And then it gives you various tips on how to do all sorts of different things. We've got drawing tutorials of how to hold the bobbins and how to make the twists or the knots or whatever it is that you do. How to even wind the bobbins, because you've got to have different pairs of bobbins or something, I don't know. It tells you how to do all these different grids on the patterns. All of the information I could possibly need is in there. So I spent a good while just reading through this. And I still don't know if I'll actually go and find all the materials and start doing it or what, but it was really interesting to read about it. And sometimes, you know, sometimes I don't have to be doing something with my hands. It's enough to just be learning something new. So, and I do like that. So I was doing that. And then last weekend, there was a big fiesta on a big fair in my town. And there was a stand there where people they had a sample of the bobbin lace. So I had a little look at it, and I asked her about where I could get the materials from, and she said it's actually really difficult to find, unfortunately. They're not sold in most sewing shops or fibre shops around here, but usually if there's a fair like that, for example, or if there's some event on, you might be able to find the materials. Unfortunately not at that weekend, but that might be something I get into in the future, because it would be quite nice to be able to do that. My nan also taught me how to knit and crochet, so it's not like she didn't pass on things. It's not like I don't have that link of the creative things with her, but I would like to be able to do that bobbin lace. So I got distracted with that as well. But again, it didn't really inspire me to do anything, because I don't know where to find the materials and it looks very complicated. So that doesn't really help either. What else did I do? Eventually, I started the new top, the Contractorium top again, by Apricate Designs, for my aunt in the dark blue, the Nightfall from Irish Fairy Tale Yarns. And just today, I joined to work in the round. You do the front pieces and then all the lace on the back. So I've got some of that done. I still haven't got the rest of the yarn, but you know, I can get to the same point as I got on the other top with the one skein. So that's what I've been doing lately. And I'm kind of got to another point where I'm a little bit bored. I'm doing that top for my aunt because I need to do it, and I might as well get started on it while I wait for the other yarn, but I'm not actually all that inspired by it. I don't really want to be sitting doing it. I need to find something else, and I don't know what to do. I need to undo the crochet thing and start it up again, but I don't want to. I want to do something new, but I don't know what. And I have all that lovely yarn from Love Yarn Madrid, and I don't know what to do with any of it. Actually, I did have an idea for a hat with one of the Trailers yarns, because I remembered that my granddad down in Malaga had asked me for a little hat, and he likes kind of beanie style. And I said, what colour? And he had no idea. And I said, well, you can have crazy colours if you want, like a multicoloured thing. And he went, yeah, that'll do. So, so I think one of those trailers, multicolored yarns, might do quite well for that. So I've got an idea of that. But I don't know, just I don't have the motivation to do these things at the moment. One I did have the other day, because like Thursday, I think, I suddenly got really hyper. I don't know where it came from. I don't know if I'd been drinking too much coffee or what, but Thursday I suddenly just got really hyper. And I didn't go to bed till like 2 a.m, and even then my heart was racing, and I had to do lots of meditation to try and calm down and relax enough to actually sleep. And then I was all hyper all day Friday as well. And during that hyper mode, I just had like a million ideas of different things, but it wasn't for knitting really. I didn't find any patterns that I wanted to do, that I wanted to make. I didn't find any crochet things I wanted to make, but I watched some, or listened to some podcasts about learning different languages, because I want to at some point improve my French again, because it's been ages since I did French properly and I've lost half of it. And I'm really interested in learning Italian, because I've got, obviously I've got English and Spanish and a basis in French, even though I don't remember my French very well. I've got the basis of it. And with those, Italian is just super easy, so easy. I've found I can understand loads of it already, and I quite often watch Antonio of Beagle does podcasts in Italian and then podcasts in Spanish, so I quite often watch his Italian ones, and I can understand most of it. Of course, I know the context, I know what he's talking about, but especially if I watch the Spanish one first. But even so, it's surprising how much I can get from that, just because I have the basis in these other languages. So I was getting really into language learning again, and I listened to some of these podcasts from Coffee Break Languages, who are based in Scotland. They're an amazing company. I've known about them for a few years. They're really, really good. I love their podcasts, and they're now doing like proper masterclasses and clubs, and they've got a TV thing and whatever. But most of that is paid for. The audio podcast is still free, but the rest of it is paid for. And I'm very tempted to buy some of it, at least the TV one, perhaps. I don't know. But I can't really afford it at the moment, so I won't right now. But I got really into that, and I was listening. They had a couple of episodes about how to keep your motivation going, some tips on language learning, like creating a routine and making sure you're in a nice space and getting new notebooks and stuff. So of course all of that gave me ideas of like, now I have to find the perfect notebook, and now I have to find the nice pen, and now I have to think about my routine and when could I fit it in so that I can do it every day, and which space should I do it in. And there was also somebody asked a question to them about, they said they were starting to confuse two languages that they were studying at the same time, and maybe they shouldn't be studying both. And he said, no, of course you should study both, but maybe you should try and compartmentalize them. So perhaps, and it seemed to involve like the other senses, which I found really interesting. He said perhaps like you study one language in one room and one language in the other room. Or while you're studying one language, you light a candle, and while you're studying the other language, you listen to some music or something, which I found really interesting, just how stimulating the other senses can perhaps help with being able to differentiate between the two languages. It's a really interesting idea. So that sent me off on ideas of like, what could I do to make sure that I've got different environments, and I don't know, I went into a bit of a rabbit hole. And I found different notebooks, and then I started looking through all my notebooks again, like I did with you guys a few weeks ago. And I pulled up this one that I showed you before, which is an old diary, and I was starting looking all through it and reading some of the old notes I've got in here, because this was from this I bought here in Spain the first year that I moved out here. So I dedicated this to Spanish, and I only wrote what I was doing each week in Spanish. And I was looking back at it, reading through all the comments and going, oh my God, my Spanish was awful then. Oh, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. And once I finally ignored that, I started trying to think about how I can repurpose this to be able to use it for language learning. Like, can I maybe put some paper over the top, but maybe not stick it down completely, so I could still lift it up and see what I'd written originally, perhaps? And have I got any nice paper I could do with that? So I went down a long old, or I spent time putting all these stickers in, because it turns out at the back of the book, it has this little pocket, and in there was a sheet of these really beautiful stickers. So I spent time putting stickers all over what I'd already written in here. Total rabbit hole. This is why I was up till 2 a.m. So I was looking at that. Then I was looking at this one, which I used when I was teaching a friend some basic Spanish for a while. So there's all sorts of notes in Spanish on there. but most of it wasn't used. So I've put in there some of the language learning tips that I heard in that podcast. And this can just be used for random notes, I think. I don't know. And then I found separate notebooks for my languages. I used to have a little collection of these little notebooks, which are gorgeous. The brand is actually called Gorgeous. And they are gorgeous. I love it. Obviously, there were originally a set of 4 because this is spring and this is summer. And I had autumn and winter. I think the winter one got used up completely and autumn is put away somewhere. I don't know. But I've decided that this one's going to be for Italian and this one's going to be for French. And I wrote down a couple of notes in the first one, just the very basics of Italian. Trying to write down some notes of what I'd heard in the podcasts. And then I sorted through a load of other notebooks as well and stationery and things. This was all like until before 2 o'clock in the morning on the Thursday night. Just terrible. I just went down a total rabbit hole. And then all Friday, all I could think about was organising things and finding new ideas and different ways of teaching and different ways of learning languages and different ways of organising all of my things. Ugh. Just crazy. And it's finally worn off, I think. I seem a little bit hyper again today. Now I started talking about it. But I did calm down. Yesterday, I slept for most of the day, so I think it wore off. And it also doesn't help that I took an antihistamine on Friday night because there's just so much pollen in the air at the moment. All of my skin was itching all over. So I took an antihistamine, and that, of course, makes you a bit drowsy. And it just zombified me. Yesterday, I was good for nothing. So I thought I'd probably calm down now. But now that I'm talking about it, I've got hyper again, so I don't know. So yeah, I've done a million different things in the last couple of weeks, but I don't actually feel very focused still. I still don't know what I actually want to be doing. I'm working on that top just for something to do, but I still don't really know what I want. I need some inspiration. And I did think yesterday what I probably should be doing is using some of the cotton that I've got. I've got cotton and I've got linen. And maybe I should use some of that to do another summer top, something that I can wear to Seville, because Sevilla Teje is coming up in like 2 weeks' time, 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, I don't know, but very soon. And I don't really have anything I can wear there because it's Seville and it's going to be scorching hot. So I don't really see how I can wear any knitwear, but maybe if I've got some more cotton or linen things, I could wear those. I do have one that I made, no, maybe 2. One in particular that I can think of that I made last year, but I didn't really like the colours in the end, so I don't know if I want to wear that or not. So maybe I should get the cotton and the linen out and find a pattern, but I don't know what pattern I want to do. So I don't know. Give me ideas, please, people. I need some inspiration. I don't know what to do. That's another thing with Seville, is that I had a bit of a roller coaster because I started thinking, I don't have enough money to go to Seville. I don't have enough money to spend on the transport, the food and drinks, never mind buying anything while I'm there. Maybe I shouldn't go. Maybe I should give my ticket to someone else or something. And then I thought, no. At the very least, I've got transport and I've got somewhere to stay with friends both ways. So I thought that'll be fine. Well, I went to confirm the transport and that was fine. But then they started talking about going the night before, the Thursday, and I normally work till 8:15 on the Thursday, so I was like, oh, that's going to be really difficult. And then I thought, if I've got the transport, I better confirm that I've got somewhere to stay as well, because it was ages ago that I was offered somewhere to stay, and I didn't actually confirm because I wasn't sure if I was going to be going on my own. So I went to confirm that, and then she said, oh, I'm sorry, another friend wanted it. So then I thought, right, that's it. The transport is going to be awkward and I don't have somewhere to stay anymore. I don't have the money to get accommodation. That's it. I'm not going. And then within half an hour, it all flipped around again. And suddenly I had the transport was all sorted and accommodation was sorted again. So I was like, oh, okay. And probably I won't have to spend anything on taxis while I'm there getting back to and from the fair either. I don't know, but I don't think so. So yeah, it was a bit of a roller coaster, but in the end, it's all sorted. I am going to Seville. If anyone is going to be there, I'd love to see you. Come and say hello. I don't know if I'm going to be able to buy anything while I'm there, other than food and drink. But at the very least, I can go and see all the stands, see what's available, get some ideas, hopefully, and talk to lots of lovely people. I want to meet you all. So it's going to be fun. And I get to stay with friends. We're going to have a bit of a party. But yeah, other than that, I don't know. Hopefully I will get some ideas for a top that I can make quickly before I go so that I can wear something knitted while I'm there. But yeah, I don't really have much inspiration at all. And I think a lot of that probably comes down to, well, a lot of it's down to do with the changing weather. Everybody starts feeling weird when the weather changes. I thought that people got, like, not better, but I thought that the people were more likely to get depressed or down over the winter where it's dark and cold, and then feel a bit lighter again in spring. But I've heard a lot about people getting worse in spring just recently. And I was feeling a bit better. I thought I was the other way around, but then just this last couple of weeks, I have been a bit down. I don't know if it's allergies or what, but I'm just not feeling it. I don't know. And I never know what to wear. I don't know if I'm going to be too hot or too cold, and it's all just a bit of a mess. I don't know. And then that combined with just stress about not having enough money to do the things you want to do. And all my students are doing a million exams at the moment, which is horrible. I hate this time of year. For that reason, in my job, I hate this time of year because suddenly we have to do nothing but exams because we need to know how everyone's doing and whether they're going to go to official exams in the summer or not. But also, they're doing a million exams at school as well. So the poor things are just exhausted and so demotivated, and you don't have any fun in any of the classes, and you're not able to actually do any teaching because you've just got to do exams. And it's just horrible. So that probably hasn't helped either. But I did, on my hyper days, I did get a lot of ideas for games and things and how to cheer things up a little bit. So hopefully the next couple of weeks will be a little bit better once we've got these exams out of the way and I can go back to actual teaching. We shall see. But yeah, anyway, so this is what's been going on for the last couple of weeks. This has been a little bit rambly. I'm sorry about that. I knew it was going to be rambly today because I don't really have a plan, because there's no one thing that's happened. There's no one thing that I can talk about that, or one thing that I can show you. It's all just a bit of a mess. But never mind. I'll keep going. I'll find something to do. As always, please let me know how you're doing. Are you affected by spring in this way? Are you affected by allergies? Do you find that you're worse in the winter and you get better in the spring? I don't know. Are you also bogged down with stress over money or exams or something like that? And have you got anything that helps you through it? Because normally my knitting and crochet would help me through it, but just lately it really hasn't been. The puzzles have been helping a little bit. It gives me something to do. Otherwise, because I found a couple of nights where I sat there, I didn't want to do a puzzle, I didn't want to do any knitting or crochet, and I found I was just like bouncing. My hands wouldn't sit still, my legs were bouncing, and just, pent up energy. I need something to do with my hands. So puzzles, boring as they might be, do actually serve a purpose sometimes on that front. But what I really want is just to get inspired again and find something I really want to make. I don't know. Send me some ideas. Give me some ideas, give me some inspiration, give me some stories, let me know how you're doing, as always. I think at some point I'd like to do a live of this so that I could actually have some conversation with you at the same time, rather than you sending me your stories afterwards, which is always nice to read, but it would be nice to actually have some kind of interaction at the time. But anyway, that's an idea for the future. Thank you for listening to my rambling. I hope you've enjoyed the mess of this podcast. I'm sorry it was messy, and I'm sorry I rambled, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway. And I hope to be back soon, probably after Sevilla Teje, and then I can show you if I bought anything. I can show you what I bought, and I can at least tell you about the weekend. So we can look forward to that. Thank you again. Bye, everybody.